Lecture by CYC Chen Cynthia. You can pause anytime you need. 你可以随时按下暂停键。Make sure have your tools ready. Okay, so we are going to continue to finish our birdhouses. Okay, and before that, we were going to talk about the shadow and light. Okay, so we are going to cover light and shadow. Then we will talk about the texture. That's number 1 and 2 for today. Okay, so when we talk about the shadow, we have to sign up where's the light source. Okay, for example, right here, I have a cube with 2-point perspective, just like our birdhouse. Okay, then I'm going to have the light, so I use the sun as the light. Okay, and it's going to have the direction. The light is going to look like this way. Okay, so on the cube, which side, which face is the darkest? It will be this one. Okay, because it's backward, the light, there's no light hitting on this side. And which one is the brightest? Of course the top, right? Because the sun is on the top. Then the middle one will be the last one right here. Okay, so it's very simple and easy to do it on the object. But how about we do something at the bottom? If we place in the cube on the table, so we should have the shadow on the table, right? But we probably have no shadow for the birdhouse, but we do have some small details, so we have to know that. So remember, we do the 2-point perspective. So let me find my point. Okay, so I have my points right here. They're on the same level. So that's my VP1, VP2. Okay, so the sun is right here. So let me get my orange. So where I'm going to have the 2 points. From here, from the sun, from where's the light source, so which means you have to create one. And we are going to droop the light, touch the top point as long as you can. Okay, then from the left, because the shadow is on the right, so we are going to connect the point on the vantage point on the left. Okay, so I'm going to from here all the way touch. One more time, touch, close. Okay, so let me use the green one. So that would be the shadow on the table. We got the shadow right here. Okay, so we have the shadow on the object, and we do learn how to add the shadow on the table by using the vantage point. If the sun is on the right, then I'm going to use the vantage point 1. Okay, to get the shadow on the other side. Okay, and you have to match it one light source. Okay, so you can get the 2 point and drop the line to get the shadow. Okay, so let's move back to do our birdhouse. So when we finish the base color for our birdhouse, then I will talk about the texture for the next step. Okay, so I want you to get the 4B pencil. Okay, so I want you to match which direction got the light source. So I want my light source right, so I use the bunny to show the light source. Okay, so the light source is from the bunny. Okay, so which means the darkest shadow will be right here, right? And of course inside the birdhouse we don't see the light. unless you want to put the lights inside the birdhouse. Otherwise, inside should be totally black. There's no light. Okay, and the bottom part, because the light is going from the top, hitting on here, so which means the bottom part has no light. Okay, and here might have something, but now we're just finding the darkest part. Okay, so we have the side here, inside the birdhouse, and the bottom of the birdhouse. So we just use the 4B to simply color as star as you can. They're just like the solid black color. Okay, so now you can begin to find your darkest color. But before that, you have to know where is the light source, because you are not going to change the plate for your light source in one picture. Okay, limit yourself for once. Where's the light coming from? Then find the darkest color. Okay, try to color them solid, so which means there's no white spots in between. Okay, so when we're done, now I want you to find your 2H or F. Okay, so 2H or F for your sketch pencil. So 2H or F. You don't have to find both of them, just one of them. Okay, 2H or F. Now I want to find the brightest part on the birdhouse. So the lights from here. So the brightest part will be the side here. So I just color them very, very bright, shading them very, very bright, but only half of them. Why? Because this is a cylinder. Okay, so cylinder is the face, the sun face is round, so which means this side should be a little bit darker. It should be getting darker here. Okay, so I'm going to bright, then getting harder. So we'll have dark, medium, and light. Same on the roof. Okay, then here is also the brightest part because the light is going to hit on this side, this face. Okay, so same thing, bright, very light, and the first birdhouse we made, same thing. Okay, then we have to find the middle color. So put your 2H or the F down. I want you to grab your 2B pencils. 2B. Okay, so now we can have the middle color. So the middle color, which means we have to have the color between darkest and the brightest. So that will be my middle color. That will be my middle color. Okay. So I have some colors in between. So it's darker than the brightest part, but lighter than the darkest part. So for now, in total, you should have 3 color tones on your drawing paper: dark, medium, and light. Okay, so we basically finished the big object's shadow. But remember, we have a lot of detail, and all the detail need the shadow as well. So as much as you can do, you can get your birdhouse more like the realistic. Okay, so now I want to focus on one birdhouse because we all got the different birdhouse, okay? But I still want you to see how I do my first one, so that is helping you to understand how can we add the shadow for the small detail. Okay, so let me zoom in first so you can see it's more clear. Okay, so we are going to do it step by step. First from the roof. So the roof, see here, we haven't do any shadow here, and they are on the same face, right? They are facing on the same side, so they should have the same color, right? So those are the small detail. The depth of the roof, we have to do it. Then the bottom of the roof, remember the bottom part has to be darkest, right? Because the light is coming from the top to hitting, so we won't see the light under the roof. So we are going to shading the roof under a little bit darker, which means the roof creates the shadow like the table, right? Like the cube. You have the shadow on the cube, but you also have the shadow on the table because the cube is touched the table, so we got the shadow on the table. So we are doing the same thing. The roof touched the house, so we should see the roof shadow on the house, right? So we are going to have the shadow a little bit here on the house, but not too big because I don't have the big roof on the top here. So I only create a little bit. And I'm not going to create the shadow on this side because it has to be covered because the angle. Okay, so where do I apply the shadow? The windows, the detail I made. I'm going to have all the shadow on the right side of the object because the light is coming from the left top. So I'm going to have all my shadow on the bottom of the right. And inside here as well, the depth. Okay, here, the windows. Bottom. See, when I add in the shadow for the window looks like 3D. It pops out, right? It doesn't look like the flag sticker. Okay, and the side here, because they are the same side, right? They are the same face. So I'm going to color it dark. So I know now you got the basic idea. Okay, now you can start to go ahead to do the rest of the detail on the other birdhouse. Okay, now you can begin. Okay, so take your time to finish all the shadow. So after the middle break, we are going to start to do about the textures. Okay, so we are giving them something looks like the wood, like the leaf, or the metal, or the plastic. Okay, and take your time. If you feel free, if you want to add in some background, feel free to do it. Alright, welcome back to the second part of the class, and we are going to cover the texture for the sketch. So for the texture, we probably will learn two material. Okay, one is wood, one is plastic. Okay, there are two different sound phase, so they have the different percentage with the pencils. Okay, so about the wood. Wood is something rough, right? So I'm going to add in a box to show the wood. So the wood got the texture, just like the board, the baseboard I have here. So we have the texture. And they are not organized, right? The texture not organized because they are natural. So we are going to have the wood texture looks like this. The light weight, we use the light weight to create the light. Some thin, some short. Okay, not that clear, so let me zoom in so you can see more clear. See, each line I got something small and thick, heavier, and getting reduced the pressures, and a little bit the gap in between are different. Sometimes I'm going to have the rollings, craft. See, the line is not smooth. The smooth line create the smooth texture, right? The smooth line give you the smooth feeling. The rough line, they are not like the smooth orange. They have some crack, some thins, so it looks like the wood texture. Okay, and there's another way to do the wood texture. Okay, so that's the wood piece when we cut in the tree, so we can see something inside looks like this. Okay, and there's another texture looks like the skin of the tree. So we're going to lie down. So we are not just like the writing the word, we are lighting down our pencil to add in bunch of the line, not cross over. See, I'm going to add in the same direction, but different size. Sometimes they overlap, but they are not crossing. Okay, some small, some big. So sometimes I just color the dark a little bit bigger. So that's another way to do the texture for the wood. Okay, sometimes have a little bit harder. So they're rough, right? Like the skin of the tree. Okay, so now we're doing the plastic. Same thing I'm going to create. So the plastic is something smooth, right? So which means we have to shade in very smooth. There's no craft, there's no print. They have just be one single color. See, I try to color this very smooth, no white space. Okay, with the same pressures on the pencils. So you got the smooth color, but it doesn't show like the plastic, right? Because the plastic has the flexion, just like sharpener. See, we have the light flexion that shows the plastic. If you don't have the light flexion, it will look like the fabric, like the fabric. See, there's no light flections, just the shadow. Okay, so if you don't add the light flexion, it will look like the fabric. If you have the light flexion, it will look like the steel plastic, something very smooth. So which means we need to use a ruler to highlight somewhere. On the plastic. And somewhere a little bit darker. So it will look like more like the plastic or the steel, something like the metal. Okay, so we're going to use the texture on our birdhouse. Okay, so same thing, I want to do this one. So I want my birdhouse made by the wood, with the wood pieces. They are not just one piece of the wood. So first I have to break it down, the straight line. So maybe I use the marker so you can see more clear. Okay, I want to make sure everyone can see it clearly. So I'm going to not breaking the birdhouse, I'm breaking the texture. So it created by the small pieces of the wood, not just one big piece. So I'm adding the line straight. Remember, we are still doing the 2-point perspective, so all the lines should be vertical. Okay. But if you want to do the horizontal line to build the birdhouse, you have to make sure all the lines looks like this way. All the lines go through what? The vantage point. If you want the wood looks like this direction. Okay? So the wood got the thickness. You got the direction. If you have the wood like this direction, you have to go through the vantage point. So don't forget that. But if all the line is like the vertical, you have to make sure the line is straight up. There's no angle with it. Okay? So I want to do the wood texture, which means I'm going to add in the line, the bunch of the lines. It doesn't have to be that dark, because different kinds of the wood, the print will look different. So some texture, the line will go darker because the wood looks like that. But sometimes the wood texture doesn't look like that clear, so you don't have to make your texture that dark. Okay? So depend what kind of feeling you want to create. You don't have to do this dark. You can do it even brighter, up to you. But I want to see the texture. Okay, so it's a little bit tricky to add in the texture on the shadow part because they are already too dark. But we will try to add something there. We can see something, but not that clear, but that's good enough. Okay, it doesn't have to be everything doesn't have to be the clear image. Okay, sometimes we just know something there. That's good enough. Just like we taking the photograph, not everything needs to be clear on the photo, right? Just the key point that we want to see, that's it. So same thing for the sketch. We need something there, but it's not that important. So we can just have something here, but not that clear. That's good enough. Okay, so now you can begin. Before you start, remember, we have to show 2 different textures, plastic or metal, or the wood. Okay, so try to use these 2 texture for your birdhouse. So I understand that you know how to do the texture with these two materials. Okay, now you can begin. Okay, so when you're done with your birdhouse, don't forget we have the leaf, and especially if you have something around as the background like the little birds, try to shade the bird. Okay, so the bird on the same picture, so which means they share the light source, so make sure the shadow are going to the same directions. Okay, for the leaf you can use 2B or 4B, up to you. 2B or 4B. Okay, doesn't matter which one you want to use. I want you to start to shading, but scribbling around. See, I'm not going to color them very smooth. I just color rough. But how big? I'm not going to rolling my circle looks like this way, this big. No, I shading, I scribbling like the leaf I create like this small. Okay, I'm not increase the size. I just having about the same size to rolling. Okay, rolling, and when I close to the birdhouse, I will make the color a little bit darker so I can separate the background and the birdhouse are different. If you're having the same color, it's tricky. It's hard for you to see, to separate, especially you don't trace with the markers, so you barely to see it. So if you color the leaf on the shadow side, so which means on the right on my paper, I will rather to make the color a little bit brighter, so my birdhouse will more stem up, right? And the right side, because it's brighter, so I can color the shadow part a little bit darker on the leaf, so my birdhouse can be stem up. Just rolling around, and you don't have to shading color rolling everywhere. I basically just rolling around the birdhouse. Because they are the background, so we don't want to spend that much time to do the leaf. Okay, so when you finish, remember we cover 2-point perspective to create our pencil outline. Okay, then we learn about the light and the shadow at the beginning of the class. Then we learn about the textures for today, the rough textures and the smooth texture class. Okay, so when you're done, don't forget to sign the name and write down the date. When you complete your drawing, sign the name and write down the date. 完成画作之后，签下你的名字，更写上日期。Don't forget to take a photo of your drawing and send it to us. 不要忘记帮你的作品拍上照片寄给我们哦。And don't forget to clean out the table before you go. 不要忘记清洁你的桌子哦。Bye bye, see you next time.